Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for this Friday, April 7th. Taking a look at recent precipitation over the past 7 days, quite wet across the central and eastern portions of the Great Basin down into the Arizona Strip, especially down into parts of Wyoming and into the mountains of Idaho. On the right-hand side, you can see the percentage of above or below normal, and the above normal up here in parts of southern Idaho and especially down to southern Utah and northern Arizona. Elsewhere, that precipitation is kind of normal or even slightly drier than normal as you get into the western portion of the Great Basin. A look at our satellite imagery with upper-level maps shows a deep low-pressure system off the Pacific Northwest coast, very tightly wrapped up, lots of wind given by the tightness of these height lines, lots of moisture shown by the enhanced clouds pushing through the Sierra into the Arizona Strip, through just about the entire Great Basin. So everybody should see clouds, wind, and varying amounts of precipitation over the next couple of days. So here's a look at the upper level map of this afternoon. On the right hand side, you can see that deep low pressure system in the upper levels of the atmosphere off the Washington coast. Copious amounts of moisture by the green and dark green shades. Also those tight height lines indicating strong southwest winds kind of paralleling those heights. And with those winds and the vicinity of low pressure, dispersion good overall. Some of this lower dispersion here in the far eastern portion of the Great Basin will be improving greatly as the storm system comes closer. And if we look at the transport winds on the left-hand side, you can see that these winds, especially from about I-15 on to the west, very strong. Brown to purple shades are anywhere from 40 to 50 miles an hour. And even a little weaker out here where we had some of that not so good dispersion, but these winds will overspread and take care of all that. Mixing heights overall quite good by the yellow and orange colors, several thousand feet above ground level. Now looking at Saturday, still in the midst of that low pressure area, especially across northern sections, still good winds, excellent dispersion overall in the vicinity of that low. That's because winds still quite strong out of the west and southwest. These purple shades to orange shades and blues are anywhere from about 25 to 45 miles an hour. Mixing heights, though, you see are good also. You see very little white or purple. These orange to yellow colors, again, indicate anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 feet above ground level. As we go into Sunday, that low pressure system shifts to our east. Another one starts dropping down from the Gulf of Alaska. A little weak ridge of high pressure tries to build in, and across western portions of the Great Basin that's underneath that high, a little bit slight worsening of dispersion, but still the yellow color is not too bad. It's only in that reddish to purple shade, so overall still quite good dispersion on Sunday. And if we break down, again, the transport winds, they do diminish across western areas, still lingering across the eastern portions. But overall mixing heights in the vertical still quite good in all areas as well. Looking at the Utah Clearing Index for the next 3 days, excellent colors. These red colors indicate excellent overall ventilation or dispersion. On Sunday, still excellent for most of the area, getting a little questionable in far southern and western areas in the vicinity of that high pressure ridge. Looking at the 3-day precipitation as we go through Friday morning into early Monday, you can see just about all areas get precipitation except for far southern Nevada, a little bit across the Arizona Strip, and maybe a dry slot down towards Green River and Moab. But overall, just about everyone gets anywhere from a quarter inch to as much as over 2 inches along the Idaho and Wyoming border. So a quite wet weekend is shaping up. Here's a look further down the road next week. Monday, on the left, we still have strong zonal west-to-east flow, still some moisture across our northern areas, so no high pressure ridge. Good overall dispersion, some localized pockets a little lower in those yellow to red shades, but both, mostly about 95% of the area should still have some pretty decent dispersion conditions. Looking at Tuesday, more moisture pushing in ahead of that storm. Overall dispersion still remains good. The large-scale wind flow is mainly from the west and southwest for transport conditions. On Wednesday, we see deepening low pressure off the Oregon, northern California coast with moisture pushing up there. Dry, warmer weather ahead of it across southern portions of Nevada and Utah. but good overall dispersion. Again, on the right, the colors in white are all right. Good vertical dispersion overall, and transport flow out of the west and southwest. And then on Thursday, that storm system really starts cranking to our west across the Oregon coast. Moisture this time mostly in western portions of the Great Basin through much of Nevada into Idaho. We see those green and dark green shades. Still dry, given by those tannish colors, with lots of sun and warm temperatures across much of Utah going into Wyoming ahead of that storm. And again, ventilation, overall dispersion remains good in most areas. Looking at precipitation as we go from Monday to Wednesday next week, pushing into Northern California, the Pacific Northwest, into parts of Idaho, and a bit later probably covering at least the western half of Nevada. But the first part of the week should be fairly dry across most of the Great Basin. Taking a longer look at temperature and precipitation for the 8 to 14 day outlook, April 14th through the 20th, there is a stormy signal, cooler than normal temperatures across much of the west and above normal chances of precipitation during that time period. The exception being down across southeastern portions of Utah and down towards the Arizona Strip. But by and large, the cool, wet pattern, but good dispersion usually in these kinds of conditions because it's associated with low pressure. That concludes our smoke briefing. Have a great weekend. Our next briefing will be coming up this Monday morning.